Welcome to Intuitive Connection, where spirituality and psychology meet to help you be your best and brightest self. I'm your host, Victoria Shaw, and in each episode, I'll help you to awaken your own inner wisdom, step into your power, and live a more divinely inspired life. You're here to let your inner light shine. Are you ready? Let's do this. So hello and welcome to Intuitive Connection. I'm your host, intuitive counselor Victoria Shaw, and today we are going to start the new year off with a bang and talk about one of my favorite topics, which is the law of attraction. And for those of you who aren't familiar, in a nutshell, the law of attraction is the basic idea that we are constantly creating and attracting all of the things that we experience in this world. And we do that through attraction. So the energy or the vibration that we are sending out, because everything is energy, attracts back in things that match our vibration. And so what happens is we create a world based on our beliefs, our thoughts, how we feel. All of those things are energy, and what we experience matches the predominant vibrations that we are sending out, or matches that predominant vibration that we are broadcasting to the universe. And so that's the law of attraction, again, in a nutshell overview. And it is one of, I think, the most powerful spiritual teachings. It is the fundamental law of the universe. And I think when you really understand how it works on a deeper level, it will change everything about your life and how you interface and live your life for sure. I also think it's one of those spiritual topics that gets a lot of confusion. There's a lot of confusion there. And one of the ones that I was thinking about as we go into the new year is the idea that the law of attraction is about doing specific things, right? It's about vision boarding. It's about visualization. It's about imagining, that it's already happened. It's about, writing $1 million check to yourself. And all of these things in the right circumstances can sometimes be helpful and work in accordance with the law of attraction. However, these tools themselves are not the whole deal. They're not the law of attraction. And in the words of my friend and mentor, Karen Garvey, and I love this quote, she said, "The law of attraction is not something that you do. It's something that you allow." All right? It's a fundamental force of the universe. It is happening for you all the time. It is not making a vision board. It is not following a set of steps. It is about learning to get out of the way and align with the beautiful, 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 beautiful wisdom and abundance and joy of your soul and all of the riches that your soul would love, love to stream through your human experience. But we have to learn to align and allow and get our small mind and our need to control out of the way. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk a little bit about hacking the law of attraction, right? But not from the standpoint of things that we do, just understanding how it's naturally working for us all the time. And then, how we can work with it more and more. And I've talked about the law of attraction a lot on the show, and I teach a lot about the law of attraction. In fact, I have a class coming up, Living the Law of Attraction. It's going to start mid-January, so check out the show notes for more information on that. This isn't a new topic to Intuitive Connection for sure. But, what inspired this little conversation, aside from the fact that it's the new year and I was thinking about vision boarding and I was thinking about how so many people will say things to me like, "Oh yeah, I heard about that law of attraction thing. I did a vision board and that's how I got my house, or that's how I got my partner." And again, vision boarding can help. All of these things can help. In fact, I started my vision board for 2023 in January, but I'm just finishing it. Well, I'm recording this episode a little bit before the new year. So I'm recording this episode in December. And so December of 2023, which is a little bit, I know, before you guys are hearing this episode, I am just now working on my 2023 vision board. I'm wrapping it up because I've had all the elements sitting there on this, board, and nothing's been sort of pinned down. And I have just been waiting for the moment to be right. And it's kind of ironic because as I'm looking down at the vision board, I'm seeing that some of the things that I put on there, even though there was no glue involved, have already manifested. They've already come to being. And then there's other things, right, that are still in the pipeline for me. They're still in the pipeline. And the guides are prompting me to say, though sometimes that vision board is kind of like a wish list, it's really more than that for me. For me, it's about a holding place. And this last year, it was like a holding place of here are some of the elements, that I think I want to bring into my life. And I'm going to put them on this board and I'm going to kind of let them sit there and I'm going to let them percolate. And that's what they've been doing. They've been sitting on that board percolating since, probably January of 2023. So almost a year ago. And that's okay. It's totally fine. And now I'm playing with and visiting them again. Because, and I want to get this from the guides, because what they're saying is, it's not actually a wish list or a recipe, to give to the universe, though you can use it that way. It's more of a scratch pad. It's more of a way to get inspired. It's more of a way to get curious. It's more of a way to play, to have fun, and to remember. They say this is the most important thing, that you are always, 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 always co-creating with yourself and with the universe. That's just how it goes and how it flows. And so they say that a vision board is often a really great tool for just remembering that. That's all it is. And that the tool itself, while it can be helpful in some circumstances, and we may talk later today about some of the circumstances in which it is less helpful, while they can be helpful in some circumstances, it's just one more way to remember that beautiful way that we co-create with life, and that more importantly, they say how we can, get out of the way and let life co-create with us. So the vision board, they say, for me was putting some of the elements out there that I was feeling into. And they said that one of the reasons why I never felt compelled to glue them down this year was because everything was still very much in development. And as you know personally, as some of you who follow the show knows, I've had a lot of change this year. A lot of stuff has gone on. And so what they were saying was this for me was a year of playing, of exploring, of, not gluing anything down, but kind of feeling into and rediscovering that which I really desire. And so they say that was part of it. They also say, Victoria, they are speaking about me in the third person. They also say, Victoria, look, when you put those things down on that paper, whether you glued them down or not, whether you said, ooh, this is my final vision board, right? You were already thinking about them. You were already playing with them. And so the universe is already hearing that. In fact, it is my guess, and the guides, I think, will agree, that, before you put it on the vision board, if you have an idea of what you want, you have already communicated that. And so vision boarding becomes really, really helpful when it gets us excited, when it gets us focused, when it's fun, when it's playful. And it gets less helpful to us when it feels like a letter to Santa that we're going to be really, really sad if Santa Claus doesn't deliver, right? And those are two very different things. Now, I want to switch gears and talk about another little manifesting adventure that I had the other day. This was one of those surprise and delight moments, right? One of these moments when something that I had been asking for, but I hadn't really been thinking about or wanting or putting down on my vision board was manifested for me in, for me, the most magical way. And it has to do with my favorite hiking trail. And many of you know, and I post a lot of pictures on the socials, that one of my favorite things to do and one of my favorite ways to manifest, in fact, is go for these hikes. And some of you also know that a lot of times I hike barefoot and do the little grounding thing, and it's just magical. And I have two absolutely stunning trails that are right behind my house. So they're in walking distance to my house. And they are just unbelievably beautiful. And still, I pinch myself every single day that I'm out on those trails. And I've now lived in San Diego for 2.5 years. So it's just such a blessing. Anyway, so they are beautiful, wonderful trails that I love, 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 love so much.
But at the end of the longer trail, so one trail goes all the way up the hill behind my neighborhood. So I'm at the middle end of the hill. It's not really a hill. I mean, it's a pretty steep incline. And at the very, very top, you can follow this trail behind the neighborhood through this preserve to the top. So at the very top, there's a little extension to the trail. And there have always been these big power lines. So the last, I don't know, like quarter of a mile of the trail has some power lines kind of blocking the way. And it's still absolutely stunning and absolutely beautiful. But I always get to the end and, there's always this little thought of like, this is really beautiful, but, the other part doesn't have power lines, right? And power lines, they're a little bit distracting. I always go to the end and I always enjoy the end. And I do my little barefoot trail dancing in the spot too with the power lines because it's an absolutely stunning view. It's just a stunning view. And you see, all the way through the other preserve, like on the other side of our lagoon where the water comes in, you see the Pacific Ocean, you see a little bit into the city of San Diego. It's just remarkable. It's just absolutely gorgeous. But the power lines, they definitely don't add to the beauty. But, it wasn't a deal breaker by any means. But anyhow, the other day I was out walking on the trail. And I start walking on this trail. And I do this a couple times a week for 2.5 years, right? So I'm kind of familiar, though I have to say that each and every time, there's always something stunning and new to discover. But I was walking on this path and I was thinking, this is really beautiful. And how come I never noticed just how beautiful this particular bit is? It just seems different to me. It's just so gorgeous. And then I got to the end spot where I, usually end and look around and notice the power lines and, do my little barefoot dancing adventure. And I realized that I figured out what had changed. What had changed was the power lines were gone. They were totally gone. And I even remember a day when I went out to hike and this little part of the trail was closed off. And I guess that was the day they were removing those power lines. So and I'm talking big power lines. It's pretty crazy. And all of a sudden it occurred to me as I was taking in the beauty and really enjoying the fact that, those eyesores were gone. I created this, right? I co-created this. And the really magical and beautiful thing about it was the universe knew, right? Just magically that this place would be much better for yours truly without those power lines. And that was it. I didn't have to do anything about it, right? I did not have to do a vision board of land without power lines. I didn't have to do the human thing and, start a petition to remove the power lines. I didn't really have to do anything. I didn't also, and this is a good thing, have to focus on how terrible those power lines are. Because let's face it, friends, when we are in a situation, our mind will naturally say, those power lines are awful. They are ruining the whole view. What is wrong with those power lines? And then it robs us of our joy. In fact, even saying that is giving my energy just sunk a little bit. So I gotta give myself a hug and come back. But that's often what we do. Our mind often will focus on what's wrong rather than recognizing all that's wonderful. And look, we don't live in a perfect world, and there will always be what Abraham Hicks calls contrast, right? Areas where things are not exactly as we would like them to be. And those areas of contrast will change too, because we are ever expanding beings. So we will always have new preferences and we will always have new likes and dislikes and some things that feel better than others. That is the way of life. But what we don't need to do is double down and over-focus on and judge those things that feel less resonant, right? And for me, those power lines felt less resonant. They weren't a deal breaker. But I have to say, it feels really nice to not have them there anymore. And the guides remind me that one of the things that made it so easy for the universe to provide that for me, and perhaps other people who walk that trail too, and are also happy for the absence of those unsightly power lines, was that it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a big deal. I was not hanging my hat or my well-being on whether or not those power lines were there. And that makes it a lot easier for us to allow law of attraction to work for us. Because when we put up resistance, my friends, and resistance is in the form of judgment and not liking and focusing on how terrible something is, we are sending out that vibration to the universe. So here's the deal. And I know it's a little bit surprising, but according to the law of attraction, what you focus on grows, right? What you focus on expands because you're thinking about it. You're focusing on it. You're lending your energy and vibration to that thing. What this means is that when we focus our attention on things we don't want and we focus too hard, we get more of those things. So if I'd been up there rallying every single time about how terrible those power lines were, it would have been much harder for the universe to edit them out of my experience. But because I was up there enjoying how beautiful this view was, it made it super easy for life to make it even more beautiful. And it's so much more beautiful now. But often we forget this. Often we focus on the negativity. We think there's something that we have to do. And we often think that something we have to do is about focusing on what we don't want or focusing really hard on what we do want in a way to get rid of what we don't want, which unfortunately, according to law of attraction, will send out the vibration of what we don't want, right? Because that is really the energy that you're focusing on. Does that make sense? So when you are focused on something you want because you are really thinking about the fact that you don't have it, the universe simply hears the message, I don't have this yet. Okay? And so what I learned from this experience, first of all, I learned how happy I was for this amazing discovery in this magical place that I love so much that got even more magical. And now I've often have ideas of doing my sessions from up there someday because there's actually pretty good reception without the power lines. We'll see. I think it's still good. But I've often thought about, hey, I'm going to spend the day up here seeing clients and enjoying the view and the sun. So who knows, friends? But those power lines were always just a little bit like, I didn't want to hang out there that long. But now I can. But anyhow, the first thing I recognized is this was definitely something that I attracted into my space, right? But I didn't do it through any kind of concerted effort. In fact, in some ways, I did it from simply enjoying what was already there. And oftentimes, this is the fastest way to bring into our lives that which we desire. Focus on and allow yourself to just enjoy what's already enjoyable. And look, there are some topics that can be really hard. For me, hiking, power lines, again, it was easy for the universe to edit those out, in accordance with my desires because it wasn't that big of a deal. It was moderately annoying when they were there, but still pretty wonderful. In fact, it wasn't really annoying at all. It's just better without them. Right? But if I had been really annoyed with them, that energy would have likely kept them around a while longer, which is okay. I'm giving myself a big hug because there are many things in my life that I'm annoyed with. And so they just sometimes are a little bit harder for the universe to release for me. That is okay because what I do, and this is my hack for you to give a try in your 2024, is I do my very best to just enjoy myself and to focus on where things are flowing, not from a mental place, but just from a place of enjoyment and a place of appreciation. And sometimes for me, that means going out on the trail, right? And going for a hike where I just always feel good, or doing a walk on the beach, or drawing, or even recording this podcast. Because when I'm speaking to you, my beautiful friends, I'm usually in a very, very, very happy place. Because again, the law of attraction is not something we do. It's something that we allow. We align with our highest and truest self. We align with our highest vibration. We get out of the way. And then we can be surprised and delighted by what life has in store for us and what life wants to share for us. The mind will teach us that we have to tell, we have to act, we have to do, we have to control. Again, as I say this, my vibration sinks a little bit. So I need to give myself a little bit of a breath. Letting that one go. When we can align, when we can allow, that is where the magic really starts to happen. And sometimes, that means not focusing on the thing that's gotten you all stirred up. Sometimes that means to give yourself a big hug, allow yourself to be stirred up if you are, and then bring your attention to something that's flowing and feels really, really wonderful. True story, like my beautiful barefoot hikes on that cliff that now has no more power lines. And remember too, my friends, it is not the end product itself that's even that important. Because in that moment when I recognized the power lines were gone, it wasn't like, oh, thank God, right? It wasn't like, well, there was a little bit of, ooh, look what I did. I was pretty excited to be part of that co-manifestation. I was pretty jazzed, right? And I'm going to enjoy that beautiful expanse for as long as it decides to be that way, because it is magical. And I do feel just so very blessed. But the most important thing to understand, and I know I've talked about this before on the show, and I just want to close with that, is the law of attraction is working for you all the time. And working with the law of attraction works best when we let go of the need to control the outcome, right? And we also let go of the outcome. We just let go of it, because there's always going to be something else that you want. There's always going to be more things that are like those power lines that are just not your preferences in life. And some of them are going to be things that are even, things that you care a bit more about than I did about those things. But the important thing to know, and this is what the guides say, they say what manifested that miracle and so many more, because so many beautiful things have happened on that hill, was my commitment to living and expanding into my joy. Truly. I love those words. Thank you, guides. My commitment to living and expanding into my joy and aligning with my joy and aligning with my higher self and living from a place of joy and appreciation and allowing whatever comes through. Because they were reminding me that there was a period of time this past summer when not only the top of that trail was closed, because now I know they were taking down the power lines, but the whole trail going up the hill was closed for quite a few months. It was overgrown because we had this really rainy winter, and then it got really overgrown. And since yours truly likes to hike barefoot, I couldn't see where my feet were going. And I'm just, I am all about surrender, but it got to the place when it wasn't really that much fun for me. And the weeds were, waist high, and it just wasn't so grand. And so I took a long break from that trail. And was I frustrated? There were some days when I was a little sad it wasn't there. But I have to tell you that the payoff was enormous, because while that trail was closed, of course, I discovered other places that I wanted to explore and other things that I wanted to do. And when that trail reopened and they finally got around to cleaning it out and it's beautiful now, it was so magical to have it returned home to me. And now, of course, it's returned home to me in even better form than it was before. And so they want me to end this, the guides want me to end this podcast by reminding you the law of attraction is not about the outcome. It's about allowing life to continually surprise and delight you. That's it, with more and more magic, like I found the other day on the trail, and so many more things. And along the way of appreciating our lives, enjoying our lives, learning to align more with your soul, and learning to let go and allow all of the magic that is yours and wants to stream through you into your life to flow, flow, flow. We recognize too that we don't have to hang our hat on any particular creation or manifestation, because that actually is part of what will suck the joy right out of your life. So we enjoy them, we love them, we appreciate them, we have fun with them, though we don't cling to them very long, right? Because we know that the next amazing thing is coming. It's coming our way. And that we are constant creators, and this beautiful, joyful, magical life that we are creating is flowing through us every single moment of every single day for us to enjoy, to savor, and to appreciate. And that the next miracle is always, 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 always right around the corner for you. So I think that's all I got for today. I am so excited to be teaching about the law of attraction in a couple of places in addition to this podcast. So keep listening here, because we always revisit this topic. Again, I'll be teaching an online Living the Law of Attraction class starting on January 16th. I believe. Check the website. It'll be there. Check the show notes too. The website is victoriashawintuitive.com. So check that out. I'll also be teaching a little free mini teaser class in the Intuitive Connection Community Facebook group. So if you're on Facebook, head over there. It'll be the week, I want to say, of the 8th or the 9th of January. I don't have a calendar in front of me, but it's going to be that second full week in January. So the week before the live class. So if you're not already a member of that group, check us out because I'll be going live every day and giving little snippets, talking about different myths and facts about the law of attraction. So check that out and join me too over on YouTube. I'm starting a new YouTube channel in 2024 and I'm going to be dropping some mini little nuggets too on the law of attraction and intuition development over there too. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, friends, that's all I got for you today. As always, I'm so grateful for you for tuning in and listening here. Keep doing this. Keep showing up, sharing with your friends. I'm so grateful for all of you for tuning in and letting me and the guides do what we love to do. Enjoy the rest of your day and namaste.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope that you found joy, strength, inspiration, and clarity from today's episode. If you'd like to learn more and connect with an amazing group of like-minded souls, please join us over on Facebook in the Intuitive Connection Community Facebook group, where we explore these topics in deeper detail, have additional live teachings, and host Facebook Lives with our amazing guests. I hope to see you there. And of course, if you want to learn more about me or the work that I do, please check out my webpage, victoriashawintuitive.com. Thank you so much again, and namaste.